Well, hi. Today's Friday, October 10th, 2025. I'm Todd Studer, and this is Morning Coffee. It's going to be a road weekend tomorrow for our area college football favorites. Iowa is on the road at Wisconsin. Nebraska finally gets a true road game, the first of the year. They are at Maryland to take on a pretty good Terrapins team. And Iowa State is on the road to face the Fighting Deons, as our good buddy Travis Waldstein likes to say. Speaking of Travis Waldstein, he's going to be our guest today on the show. I thought he comes so often into the online studio when we are bringing him in as a guest. So yesterday I went out to his shop and we stood outside in front of one of his excavators, and we talked about everything that's going on with Waldstein Plumbing and Serv Heating and Air Conditioning, and also talked some football. That is going to be today's episode of Morning Coffee. You know, technology should work for you, not against you. And at ThinkSpace IT, they provide expert IT solutions to keep your business running smoothly and securely. From cybersecurity and cloud services to network management and tech support, they simplify IT so you can focus on what matters most. Stay protected, stay connected, stay ahead. Visit ThinkSpaceIT.com. And when you are feeling stuck in uncertainty, conflict, or miscommunication, The Spiral of Accountability by Carol Horner is your guide to breaking free from the fog that clouds decision-making and relationships. Would you like to learn a little bit more about what this all means? Well, Carol was a guest on the show earlier this week. If you go back to Wednesday's show, you can watch that. And she does a masterful job of weaving the subject of her book, The Spiral of Accountability, into the park system and what she used to experience back when she was young. So please go back a couple of days. It was on Wednesday's show on Morning Coffee, Carol Horner here. And also, don't forget to pick up a copy of her book. You can do it on her website, spiralofaccountability.com, or it is also available on Amazon. Travis came to see me so many times in the online studio, I thought I'd come down and see him in his exterior studio.
Yeah, exterior studio is right. So
This is Travis Waldstein, Aire Serv Heating and Air Conditioning, and Waldstein Plumbing. You got a shiny new toy back here that looks like you've already put a little use on it.
yeah, it's Hawkeye colored even. So I'll never forget that black and gold. But yeah, this is our new Sany mini excavator. This is for if we got to go into like a basement, we can get down to 36-inch opening to drive into a basement. So if we have to dig up a sewer line, or we're doing new construction and the ground's really hard, and it's quite the machine. Now, obviously, it doesn't have a cab, so you're going to have to deal with the elements a little bit, but it can dig down to about 8 foot, Set to do, we got hooks on the bucket for doing water lines and digging up sewer lines and everything else that we need to do. So, the time and opportunity came available, and the boys at A1 Iron over in Omaha hooked us up. So.
Did the need present itself first, or did you anticipate the need? Is that what got this to you?
I'll tell you, we've gotten into where we've done a lot more rough-ins and stuff, and our bigger excavator is great, but there's times, listen, when you got to fit into a small space, that bigger excavator gets to be tough. So with this thing, I don't need a 24-foot trailer for it. So, I got all 24-foot trailers now. Like, okay. But no, we can get into a smaller space, and you're not going to tear up the yard as much, you know what I'm saying?
Well, sure, yeah, that I'm sure is a big part of it, that you don't have to build back as much landscaping after you get done.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of stuff. We've done a lot of water services in the last 2 months, where we've had to replace the water service from the house out to the street. Lot with that. Like I said, for underground. I mean, anytime you stick a shovel in the ground, it's not cheap. But sometimes with their other machine it works great, but sometimes that machine is just too big for the job. So and you go rent one of these 8 or 10 times, and you've made about half the payment on a machine. So guess what? We decided to bite the bullet, and so.
Well, that makes plenty of sense to do that. Waldstein Plumbing's been. Have you hit 2 years yet?
Not quite.
Not quite 2 years.
Yeah, it'll be. Technically we started it. The LLC was incorporated in November 23, so it'll be 2 years next month. As far as actually started business, technically January 24, but we're coming up on that point.
You've had you've had quite a bit of growth. I mean, you've got a ton of business coming through here.
Oh yeah. That's not an issue. I mean, pretty much what's happened is, I've worked primarily on the Aire Serv side with the heat and air conditioning side. My son Hayden is pretty much ran the plumbing stuff, but it's getting to a point to where, I'm needing to help on both sides of it. My job a lot of times is either running one of these or run it to a job site or going to meet with, other subcontractors on jobs because, there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of people right now are trying to get, outside work done before winter time. So, work has not been a problem. We've been very blessed with that. And, knock on wood, that keeps coming down the pipe. So
yeah, it's the work is out there. You're seeing a lot of growth in the area, but with you, you're doing more remodel work and repairs than new construction, right?
Yeah, for the most part, we got a couple builders that we do work for, but realistically, when it comes to the underground work, a lot of our stuff is rework. But I mean, essentially, once you tear it out of the ground, once you get it, the hard part is digging the old stuff out of the ground. So if they've got black iron, or if they've got your Orangeburg, or SDR, which SDR is kind of a naughty word around here, but but there's a lot of guys that like to use SDR because it's cheap. Well, it's kind of like it's kind of like that 75 Pinto you were talking about the other day.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get what you pay for, but yeah, I mean listen, there's a lot of work to be had, but yeah, a lot of, we're still doing a lot of service, a lot of remodels, all the water services, all the sewer redos, but, once you stick the shovel in the ground, there's not a lot of difference. It's just sometimes the work you got to do inside is where you run into the extra work and hassle. So
now, running HVAC and plumbing out of the same location anyway, separate offices, how often are you hitting a job site where Aire Serv is doing work at the same time Waldstein Plumbing is doing work?
On a lot of our new homes with the builders we deal with, I mean, we work hand in hand. So like if we're doing, we got a couple of builders we do work with, Jim Duggan, we do for Duggan Homes, we do work with him. We've done some work with David Prine, more on the in floor on the plumbing side with him. But then Sean Smith with Freedom Real Estate here in town, and then Justin Head. A lot of times, they'll either talk to Hayden or they'll talk to me. The nice part is Hayden understands both sides of the business, so he might be there for the plumbing, but if I've got HVAC guys there and they got questions or whatever, he can make the call or make a decision where I don't always have to, be there. Kind of allows me to go do, I have a face for radio, but allows me to kind of go through and do the marketing and go talk to, some of our network groups and that kind of stuff. So
also allows you to get to some Hawkeye games.
Yeah,
allows you to take in a Packers game once in a while.
Yeah, I think we might have got the Green Bay Minnesota game lined up last night. So might go into that in December. So
I'm assuming that's in Green Bay.
No, actually, no, it's in Minneapolis.
You're going to Minneapolis.
I'm gonna wear, of course, I'm gonna wear my green and gold.
I know. Yeah.
That's okay. Of course, if you ask my wife, she likes the fighting Taylor Swift, also knows the Kansas City Chiefs. So I got to keep her happy too. But yeah.
Oh, listen, Arrowhead's a great place to watch a game. It's a great place to tailgate.
Oh yeah.
For a game.
Oh yeah.
The first time, actually, the only time I took in a game down there, the smell of barbecue from probably 20,000 smokers that were going on was powerful experience.
Yeah.
And smelled really good.
I have not had anybody tell me whether a home or visitor that they've actually had a bad time down Arrowhead. Now, if you're winning the visiting team stuff, it's like anywhere you go, you're going to get a little bit of flack. But listen, if you're wearing the other team's gear,
Yeah.
you better expect that going in. You know, that's kind of that's part of the fun, in my opinion, to go to
Or you can be
Razzo
like
too.
my late friend Bill, who was such a Steelers fan. He went to a Chiefs-Packers game and wore his Steelers jersey.
Look at the NFL Europe games. I mean, they've got all two teams in the stadium. Well, they might not have the Jaguars, but you know, they got most of them. But yeah, so we want to have fun in the process too. You know, tell you kind of some stuff that we've had done the last couple months as far as training goes. We had Marty Miller with Rescue 130. Yeah. So we've had them in for CPR here about a month ago. We had Gun Company. They brought their boiler expert in to come talk to us about in-floor and the hydronic stuff. That's been fun. We're going to be doing a trench safety class with a CSSI. They're out of Des Moines, but they do trench safety all over the Midwest. And you think, well, what do you need that for? Well, when you're digging underground like we are a lot, you start getting past 4 foot. If you have walls that fall in, you hear about trench collapsing and people die. It's a real thing, especially around here with the sandy soil that you run into. It's, you got to be cognizant of that stuff and understand, hey, you got to put shoring in, you have to have the trench boxes, you have to have the stuff because, I want to make sure my guys get home safe. So, another thing we got our training room inside here to where we got furnaces and we got water heaters and we got boilers and, spending time with training. Then, right now we're in apprenticeship. We have apprentices for HVAC and plumbing, but we're also in discussions with Iowa Western. Iowa Western is, finally committed to hopefully getting their apprenticeship program kicked over first year. I'm actually pretty excited. I've been dealing with, Natalie Harris is who I've been talking with quite a bit over there, and that's been a very positive discussion. Sounds like President Kinney, they've had some discussion. The biggest thing they got right now is room. That's their problem. And I know they have a bond issue going up, and I'm not going to tell anybody how to vote, but realistically, with some of their trades programs, that's the issue. Their diesel mechanics program is just absolutely exploding from what I hear. And they're out of space for what they want. So, but they've found some room, and so that's pretty exciting for us. And they've always had it, but they're going to have more space to do some stuff, which I think, it's one of them things. You do one or two things. You can either a bitch about it, which I could do. I could bitch with the rest of them, don't get me wrong. But the other part is you can be involved or say, hey, what can I do? Hey, here's something I'd like to do. What can we work together to collaborate that I think will not only help us, but, help the other tradespeople in town. I would like to be the preferred company, but I understand that's not always the case. Right. But, there's such a shortage for workers that I think any company in town is in the trades. I don't care if you do a drywall or electrical, plumbing, HVAC, controls, other stuff, anything to where we could add skilled, people, and us old timers that have been around for a while can help add our 2 cents to it. I mean, we need it. It's like everything else. It's like nursing. Believe it or not, there's a shortage of nurses right now. We need to do everything we can to support them. Support them kinds of deals, because in 20 years, if you don't, you'll really. I mean, we're feeling it now. You'll really start to feel it if we don't. So
yeah, and as you talked about, keeping the homegrown talent at home.
Yep.
And you got people working on the housing issue to try to have places for them to stay. You're working with some of the other communities too. So all of it is coming into play. There's a lot of things to be positive for around this area. And I think that, watching you take a brand new business and grow it as fast as you have with your son, and hiring new people. I mean, you've got more on staff now than you did 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Because of that.
Yeah, we're renewing our insurance right now, but believe me, how well I have been informed of that. It's like, yeah, but you actually, the percentage is just actually less overall from insurance wise, but you have more exposure, which that's part of business. I mean, anybody that's in business that, I'd say any business, particularly hands-on trades business where you're out doing it, it's a part of business. But my thing is, Todd, if we're talking about we're being totally transparent, I'm an Iowa guy. We talk Hawkeyes, but I say I want to do business work with people that live and work in Council Bluffs. So if you've got a housing development or if you've got commercial building or multi-family, I said I want to work with other tradespeople in the city. If they're my guys, great. But let's say it's, you've got another plumbing company, or I know all the electricians in town, a lot of them. You know what? There's plenty of work for them guys, and I'd much rather see, I'd rather see the money spent over here than go over to Omaha. And I know there's a thought that, well, we're kind of a big area, one big area. And yes, that's true. But what happens is kind of like with casinos forever. Nebraska people come over and spend money in Iowa, and it was good for Iowa, but they never spent money doing anything else. And so, you would love to think it's an equal trade, but I want to support the people here in town, or I should say Southwest Iowa, as much as I can, versus versus having that work and have that money go across the river. And I've been, if anybody follows my Facebook, I don't know that I'd recommend you do that. So
Yeah, that would be not safe for work.
not safe for work is right. But no, I'm pretty vocal when it comes to that. Am I perfect? No, I'll be the first one to tell you, but I am a big believer in supporting local and helping businesses and spending money with businesses here in town. I mean, if you don't, the community loses that money. You talk about tax base. If you're not spending money in town, that sales tax money goes somewhere else, and that's used everywhere. So,
yeah, well, you know where I stand on that. I mean, there's a reason why I put such a strong focus on everything in Iowa, in Council Bluffs, in the rest of Pottawatomie County, in Mills County, going further into Fremont and Page and Cass County and Harrison and Shelby and all the different areas around Southwest Iowa, because this is where I live. I live in Southwest Iowa.
Yeah.
And I know that we're right on the border. And listen, it's not anything against anybody in Omaha.
No.
Look, it's wonderful. I'm glad that we can be right next to each other.
Yeah.
However, we do have there is a separation there more than the river, because when we've talked about it, what happens in Council Bluffs and is decided by the state, that's decided in Des Moines.
Yeah.
What happens in Omaha is decided in Lincoln by a completely different group of people. We're operating under different rules.
100%, and that's the part that people don't understand. It's nothing against Omaha, like I said.
Not at all.
And if I go bid something over in Omaha, we do somewhere, but they say, hey, we're going to deal with an Omaha contractor in town. Hey, you know what? I get it. I got no problem with that, because, at the end of the day, people want to do work with they know, like, and trust. And listen, if I'm going to live by that sword, I got to be willing to die by that sword too, if you know what I'm saying. So, real big for that. But kind of back to what we're doing here. Yeah, I knew once we decided to do this, it would take off. You kind of don't know. The biggest thing we run into, it's like anything else, managed growth. The nice part is there's plenty of work in town for everybody, and what we're doing may not be the same as every other plumbing contractor. I mean, you think they're all the same. There's some that specialize in new construction. There's some that specialize in underground or drain work, drain cleaning, or, doing service and repair. So, my thought is, if you're good at something, because you can't always be good at everything, but if you're good at something, run with it. And if that's your base, that's fantastic. I mean, it's no different in the HVAC world. I don't want to be working on steam boilers. The Rasmuses of the world, hey, that's their specialty. You know what? Good for them. And that's big business. So there's plenty of work to go around. There's a lot of good contractors. We have great customers, and I know sometimes Cancel Us gives a standard to, but no offense, but I enjoy working with the people in our communities in Southwest Iowa here. I really do. And I've been down here for darn near 30 years now, and I'm from Northwest Iowa, but this is definitely home for me.
A tip that I was told a long time ago, you'd mentioned managed growth there, it was that a very high percentage of businesses that fail don't fail because they didn't get any business. They got it because they weren't ready for the business they got.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of the challenge we kind of continue to fight. But at the same time, management is the key to it. So so yeah, bigger isn't always better. It is, but if the demand's there, and that's the thing, demand's there. A good friend of ours, retired banker here in town, Marty Brooks, he told me, he says, Travis, if you do this plumbing thing like you do your Serv, if you answer the phone, you'll have more work than you know what to do with. And you know what?
Yeah.
He's 100% spot on. He was spot on with that, and luckily we've been, we've had some pretty good success stories. So.
All right, well, let's talk about it then. On Saturday, Iowa and Wisconsin. You got a Wisconsin team that is not very good this year.
No.
And Iowa, who, with Gronowski out, and I heard he was practicing, but I don't know that he's going to be back in time, because Kirk, he tends to err on the side of caution when it comes to this
his riverboat Kirk plan, because if you listen to the Riocast, and from what I've been reading, I read a lot of Chad Lestokow with Hawk Central and Des Moines Register, and there's a few other guys' podcasts I listen to, but them guys and Scott Dochterman seem to have I get a feeling that if they feel like that Gronowski can go, he'll go.
With an understanding, keep your butt in the pocket and stop running around.
My guess is there'd probably be a pretty heavy knee brace on that knee that's tweaked. But the thing, if you look at Iowa, the 2 games they lost, Iowa State's doing real well this year. They lost at Cincinnati, and I think Cincinnati is a much better club that played the first game against Nebraska.
Well, Iowa State's got the injury bug too.
Yeah,
that was a big part of that Cincinnati loss. They didn't have the speed in the back in the secondary.
They've lost by 3 points to Iowa State at home, and then they lost that heartbreaker to Indiana at home. And if Gronowski's healthy in the fourth quarter, everybody's kind of down Hank Brown's like, listen, you got thrown in the middle of the fourth quarter. You haven't practiced with the ones all week. You got to come in and try to win the game. That's tough. 2 weeks of practice, whatever. The twos have had their opportunities to play the ones. So I think no matter whether it's Gronowski, or one of the backups, I think I will be prepared. Here's the thing I remember about Wisconsin. Wisconsin has, they played Michigan last week, which I think Michigan's pretty good. They played at Alabama. Now, and Alabama has finally figured out their offense. So is Wisconsin a great team? No. Do they have coaching problems? Absolutely. I think this is a must-win for Luke Pickle to keep his job at Wisconsin. So it's going to come down to how much, it's at Wisconsin. So that's, a night game. Madison, it'll be a good time up there, and Iowa's going to have to probably be ready to take some body blows early, because Wisconsin will come out and try to do Wisconsin things. But I actually feel pretty good about this game, and frankly, I know Iowa plays Penn State. Looking ahead, the way Penn State's been, I'm feeling pretty good about Iowa in their next 3 games. If they can get through Saturday and they beat Wisconsin, they got a 3-game stretch here where I think they can maybe separate themselves a little bit. They're not going to win the Big Ten, but they're going to be okay. If you look at Iowa State, they lost last Saturday, but I'll tell you, not Brock Purdy, but Beck showed me something. Yeah. The way he brought that team back in the second half. Cincinnati did all their points in the first half, and they showed me something. Iowa State did. So even in a loss, and so that Big 12 is, an interesting league. And if you're Iowa, if you're Iowa State, you want both teams to continue to do well. You want both teams to win. So I think good for them. And then, like I said, our friends over in Nebraska, I know they finally got the first road game this year at Maryland. And I got news for everybody. Maryland is a good ball club.
Yeah.
And they kind of got snake bit in the fourth quarter versus Washington last week. I think Nebraska's going to have their hands full at Maryland this week. So.
What I will say about Nebraska, and it's not easy to say, but years ago, not that many years ago, the games they've won this year, they would have lost.
Oh, yeah.
And they've made that improvement, that if it's close, we're in it and we believe we can win it. And that's where they're at right now. So we'll see how this one works out. I expect that probably have a little bit of a different feel by the time we get to the end of the season, and the Iowa-Nebraska game's going on. It's going to mean something different.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, both teams are well above 500, and they're playing for seeding and bowls and all that other stuff. So, but yeah, it's going to be good. And hey, you know what? I read yesterday there's a proposal on the table now that they're going to allow Division One NCAA athletes to bet on pro games now. Did you hear that?
Oh yeah, that'll go well.
Well,
Yeah, yeah, I can't see any problems coming from that.
Oh yeah, I heard that yesterday. It's like, so yeah. Well, it is the NCAA, so. But they did shorten the transfer portal. One transfer portal. It's going to be right during the middle of bowl season, but that's when the transfer portal is going to be. So you could be playing in the playoff, and you could be having kids trying to transfer out if they're not getting enough play time. So, so there's some fodder for thought for you. So.
Yeah, that's a whole nother episode. I'd tell you about what I think about all that. But yeah. All right, Travis Waldstein, Aire, Serv Heating and Air Conditioning, Waldstein Plumbing.
Yeah. Hey, and go Cubs! Hopefully they come back and they tie this series up today. So no guarantee.
Hey, Braves are out, so I'll be there with you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Todd, for having me.
Just for clarification, it was a bit warm for that jacket, but I already had it on, so I just went with it. Just Sue Creative is here to help you build your business with website design, search engine optimization, content creation, marketing, everything you need to take your company to the next level. Go to justsuecreative.com. She has a button there called Free Consultation. You click on that, you pick out a time that works for you, and you're off and running. JustSueCreative.com. And Bryce Taylor with GLI Insurance Group, a local and family-owned independent insurance group, has been helping people find the best possible plan for them for over a decade. Bryce's office, just up the road from Council Bluffs in Crescent. We will have a new restaurant highlight with Bryce coming up very, very soon. It's great teaming up with Bryce because he knows food and he knows restaurants in the area so much that he started the Council Bluffs Food Lovers page, and over 13,000 people have followed along with him. So the next restaurant highlight coming up very, very soon with Bryce Taylor from GLI Insurance Group. That wraps up today's show and also wraps up the week. And we are very happy that you are a part of things. Don't forget, tomorrow it will be the Hope Illuminated Gala for NAMI Southwest Iowa. That will be at the Cass County Event Center in Atlantic, and it will be tomorrow beginning at 5 o'clock. Still a chance to get a last-minute ticket if you go to NAMISouthwestIowa.org. I'm going to be there, and I would love to see you there too. My name's Todd Studer. We'll see you back here Monday morning.